The most innovative voices in the business world are saying that the future of finance may be in the dinosaur trade.
Buy a T-Rex tooth, bro.
How much are those?
I have one in that room. I bought it for like $30,000. It's worth like $60 now. I hear some people being like, well, maybe dinosaurs didn't exist. Go yourself, you idiots.
Yes, the Warren Buffett of 14-year-old boys has spoken, but other economic experts are a little more skeptical.
Dinosaurs, that seems pretty fake and gay.
Ever since Jesus walked with the dinosaurs, those oversized lizard bones have been a source of inspiration and intrigue to weird little white boys of all races and creeds. But in the past 30 years, it's become a popular asset class for wealthy investors looking to impress their one friend, avoid taxes, and creep out their 20-year-old mistresses. Take Citadel CEO Ken Griffin, who spent $45 million on a stegosaurus named Apex. Or RFK Jr., who took a break from severing raccoon penises to go fossil hunting with Jeffrey Epstein. So I traveled from the penthouse of a South Dakota Comfort Inn and Suites to the Instagram DMs of Nic Cage, back to the South Dakota Comfort Inn and Suites to answer the question, are fossils the new Bitcoin or are they fake and gay? Today, we're going to the Bone Zone. Bone Zone, Bone Zone. Deep in South Dakota's delicious nooks and crannies is the wholesome tiny town of Hill City, where the key to the future is the past that's future. I'm talking about a 74-year-old wonderkind commercial paleontologist who helped bring fossils to the big stage, and I got access to learn his tricks of the trade.
My name is Peter Larson. I'm president of the Black Hills Institute of Geological Research. Our business, Black Hills Institute, is a supply house for museums. Here's where museums come to shop.
How are you making money?
We collect fossils. We do indeed sell specimens, not just to museums, but also to private collectors. And there are investors who are looking at buying things as an investment.
So tell me what makes a fossil valuable. What's the difference between a fossil like a trilobite for $40 and one that would go for 60, 70, 80 grand? And can I turn that trilobite into a 60, 70, 80 grand fossil?
If you're buying it for $40, no. But you might be able to turn it into several $100s.
Okay.
If you do some more preparation on it. It's adding labor to put that fossil back together and to clean it properly. And you can take something that is worth $1,000 and spend hundreds of hours on it and make it worth $100. You can destroy that specimen. Basically, all fossils are broken and all fossils are in some way worked upon to bring them to their initial beauty. You have to have a lot of artistic ability in your crew, and you have to have people who know osteology, who know these particular dinosaurs inside and out.
But what Pete doesn't know is I'm really good at things, so fossil prep should be pretty easy.
And Aiden is going to use what's known as an air scribe right now, which is kind of like, it's a pneumatic tool, and he's going to shoot out that sodium bicarbonate. You can also heat these up. It's not the best smelling thing, but it's a putty that will harden a bunch of different like 15 minutes. Some of them take 45 minutes. He's going to mix it, maybe a little longer. You can also heat these up.
Yeah, so you find a fossil in the ground. What's a good return on investment in your mind?
If you're not doubling your money, you're very quickly getting into the we're losing money point. For instance, we did 3 giant sauropods for the new museum in Abu Dhabi. We started in 1999, and we never sold a dinosaur until those 3 dinosaurs, which were just now put on exhibit.
So this is not a get cash fast scheme.
No, you can't drive up to a hillside, put a log chain on a dinosaur's tail, drag it out and sell it for millions of dollars. You cannot do that. So there are people who have kind of thought that, and we call them dinosaur dreamers. They've come into the business for a short time and then they're gone because they realize that this is a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. I think we've gotten all of our questions in. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you would like to mention?
I was found guilty of 2 felonies.
Well, that changes everything. Here in the blood-soaked jungle of South Dakota is the crime-ridden town of Hill City, where violence and chaos reign supreme. Here, life is fully controlled by a 74-year-old kingpin paleontologist, and I got exclusive access to his compound. Let's go. Tell me the story of Sue.
We were working at a quarry for Edmontosaurus annectens, duck-billed dinosaurs. One of the volunteers, Susan Hendrickson, was out looking, and she brought back 2 pieces of bone that were the inside of a vertebra, and I'd never seen a T-Rex vertebra, the inside of one before, but I knew that's what it was. There were thousands of pieces of bone on the ground, and you could see bone cross-sections in the cliff face.
It was a 67-million-year-old lady T-Rex, the largest and most complete specimen of its time. Larson paid $5,000 to the landowner for the right to remove the dinosaur and, he thought, purchase her. He named her Sue, after the person who found her. But in 1992, as Pete and his team prepared the fossil, the FBI took a break from framing OJ and carted Sue away.
I'd lived in a trailer house right behind the Institute here, and one of the gals, Lynn, who's still working for us, knocked on the door and said, "Get out here, there's FBI out here." This was like at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'd just gotten out of the shower. And anyway, so I come out, and here's all these federal agents with the warrant, basically for the arrest of Sue.
While the citizens held free Sue protests, the government argued that the dinosaur had been found on tribal land that had been placed in a trust to the Department of the Interior in lieu of property taxes. And in court, the attorneys argued that the $5,000 was for having disturbed the land, not for Sue herself.
They confiscated a bunch of fossils, they took our paperwork and all this, and then we had another subpoena, and ended up being a 38-count 52 charges in federal court. We had the longest criminal trial in South Dakota history.
Sue was sold by the landowner for $8 million to the Field Museum, where she's on a permanent exhibit. Meanwhile, Pete was convicted on non-Sue related charges of theft of U.S. property and customs violation and spent 18 months at the same prison where the Unabomber stayed.
When I got to prison, the guy who was checking me in started laughing. He said, "Did you see this?" And I said, "It's a reason for incarceration. Failure to fill out forms." So I got 2 years for that. This poor dinosaur. It wasn't the dinosaur's fault, it was politics.
Yeah, Sue didn't do anything wrong.
No, she did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
She did everything right.
Have you seen Sue since?
Oh yeah, I go visit her quite often.
Okay, so you found your way back.
My first and best love. Yeah.
Big city girl, small town boy, star-crossed lovers. Sounds like a banger Hallmark film to me. In Dinosaur 13, you said something along the lines of, you were charged with more counts than Jeffrey Dahmer was. And he killed and ate 15 people? So just to get ahead of it, have you killed and eaten any people?
Actually, no. I've been very careful.
But this museum was filled with a lot of bones with no meat on them, so the verdict is still out. But to be clear, Pete's not the only paleontologist who's had run-ins with the law. Take this Florida man, who in 2013 pleaded guilty to illegally smuggling a Tyrannosaurus batar skeleton from Mongolia into the United States. It wasn't caught until it went to auction for around $1 million when Mongolia said, "Hey, that's ours," and we said, "Whoa. We can't just take that?" Because yes, countries like Morocco, Mongolia, and China all have rules against removing fossils from their country. Who knew? Tell that to the British Museum. Oh man, yikes. One Moroccan ambassador said that smuggling fossils may be even worse than drug trafficking, and I couldn't agree more. Fossil smugglers are public enemy #1 here in America. It's destroying our communities, our towns. Children are huffing fossils. Step aside, opioid epidemic. There's a new king in town. And this conspiracy goes to the very top. You've got paleontologists smuggling the fossils. You have auction houses selling the fossils under a don't ask, don't tell policy. And you have rich buyers looking to touch death without having to pay a prostitute to asphyxiate them. But not all buyers are the bad guys. Some are Nic Cage.
The dinosaur skull was an unfortunate thing because I did spend $276,000 on that. I found out it was abducted from Mongolia illegally and then had to give it back. Of course, it should be awarded to its country of origin, but who knew? Plus, I never got my money back, so that's stank.
We reached out to Nic Cage via Instagram DM, and while he wouldn't comment on the dinosaur scam, we did get chatting about life, and love, and just, I don't know, it's been nice. So now that I've seen the good and the bad, the ugly, I'm ready to get digging and make some cold hard cash. But it turns out it snows in South Dakota in May, so we had to change plans. And to seek my fortune, I had to drive deep into the depths of American depravity, New Jersey. What is this terrible state? I found something extremely valuable. It's Built, the rewards program for your home that gives you points on every rent and mortgage payment. And it has the Built Neighborhood Concierge. It's a complimentary service that every Built member has access to. It can pay your rent or mortgage when you tell it to. Make restaurant reservations at Neighborhood Partners because the last time you cooked at home, the fire alarm went off and the fireman came, but you were wearing an old t-shirt that read, "I barfed at Sicko Dave's amusement park and all I got was this stupid t-shirt," but they were really hot and you had egg on your face and it was embarrassing since you hadn't had egg in at least a week. Why did I write all of this? I wrote that. That's my fault. It can book flights and hotels. Arrange grocery deliveries so you can burn your food and meet Fireman Jack again, but in a much better outfit. It can book 7 a.m. fitness classes that you'll sleep through, or schedule Lyft rides for when the G train shut down all summer. It actually executes for you so you can get back to doing what you love best, spending hours and hours and hours and hours digging for fossils. Learn more at the link in my description and be sure to use my link so they know I sent you. Back to hunting fossils.
I'm Dr. Kenneth Lacovara. I am a paleontologist and the founding executive director of the Edelman Fossil Park and Museum of Rowan University.
Talk to me a little bit about how your museum collects and buys fossils and fossil replicas.
Most of what we have here are fossils that we have collected on site, most of them from an extinction layer that we have in the bottom of our 4-acre fossil quarry here. They're 66-million-year-old fossils. They record the last moments of the time of the dinosaurs. The only fossils that we have purchased here are small things that I would call the commodity fossils, trilobites or brachiopods or things like that.
What would you say has changed about the fossil trade in the past 30 years?
The biggest thing that has changed is the commercialization of the fossil trade. And that kind of really all started with that famous T-Rex named Sue. That kind of set the market for fossils. And so early in my career, I'd go out to places like Montana and Wyoming, and I'd find the rancher and I'd say, "Hey, I'm a paleontologist. I'd like to prospect for fossils on your land." And they would usually just say, "Oh yeah, whatever, go ahead, we don't care." And then the whole Sioux thing happened. Every rancher that lived on the Mesozoic thought they were sitting on their retirement, and that's kind of locked the academic paleontologists out of a lot of those sites.
Can you go through a little bit what you feel like is missing when it's a commercial paleontologist taking the dinosaur through the prep process versus an academic paleontologist?
Yeah, well, fundamentally we have different motivations, right? Our goal as academic paleontologists is to do science. And the bones are only part of the story. If you just pluck some dinosaur bones out of the ground and you don't spend time studying the death scene, studying the sediment, studying the paleo environment, you've lost that information. And then the second part of that is that you dig up maybe this beautiful dinosaur skull and it's a new species and it gets sold at Christie's or one of those places and ends up behind a CEO's desk in a glass tower somewhere. It's gone from science.
But I guess as a counterpoint, then a rich man has a cool dinosaur behind his desk.
Well, there is that.
So pros and cons.
So, yeah.
I see hordes of children,
yes,
all seeking to discover the next T-Rex in that quarry. What happens if they actually find something major?
There's only been 3 times when we asked a kid if they could keep something that they found. And in each case, it was just a rare shark tooth. They all said yes, of course, because it's really cool.
Giving away fossils for free? Those betas may not know the art of the deal, but I do. So I got my professional paleontological gear and was ready to start digging. Question, if a kid has a fossil I want, am I allowed to tackle them?
No, we would discourage that.
Okay, but discourage is a little different from not allow. Okay, that's fair. Fortune, here I come. Oh! Okay, I think that's a rock. No, that's just dirt. Okay, this is different colored dirt. No, that's rock too. Oh! Okay, this looks like a rock. Okay, I found a root. That's fun. That's a rock. Wait. Maybe bone? No, rock. So fucking hot. I think the 7-year-olds over there are having more success than I am. I learned that pelotoning once every 2 weeks does not prepare you for fossil digging in the field, so I took a different approach, the American approach. Because what is American if not demanding 2-day shipping for something that someone else toiled over? We're talking about dino dropshipping. Nicolas Cage didn't want to buy the fossil because he needs money for his hospital bills, but I think I found another buyer, the Edelman Fossil Park.
Well, that's a lovely trilobite.
It's a lovely trilobite, okay.
And that is a particularly well-preserved one. I can see there's been a little work done on it. I have bought invertebrate fossils, again, these commodity fossils.
So you could be a repeat customer.
I could be, yeah.
How much do you think this would be worth?
Well, I mean, we have pretty good coffee here. How about a cup of coffee? I could throw in a donut.
No, I know this boy's worth $50. Would you take it?
Yeah.
Wait, really?
Yeah, you got a deal.
God,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
When I first started this journey, I thought fossils were like crypto and that you could make cash fast and easy. But what I learned is that fossils are like crypto and that you can make cash fast and easy and everyone should be doing it. So once again, Logan Paul was right. I'm Annie Bennett, signing off.
So we're always looking for ways to infuse a little surprise and delight into the experience. I've made a 5-hour loungy, very kitschy playlist, so like authentic elevator music that plays in the elevator.